How you doing, good people? This is the 8-Bit Animal, and I have a redaction, well, a correction rather. Yesterday, in the teaser for today's video, I stated that the main character's bird was named Curtis. The bird was not named Curtis. In fact, the bird was named Cutlass. Cutlass the bird. Now, Curtis would have probably been a better name, because who even knows what a cutlass is other than this bird? Anyway, today's game is an action-adventure game set in a post-apocalyptic world that looks strangely retro. And at first glance, it really feels like they were trying to make Castlevania. And I may be wrong in that assertion. Because after you play it and you realize what's going on here, it's a lot different from any game in the Castlevania franchise. Today's game is 8 Eyes. Now, 8 Eyes was published in 1990. Remember how I keep referring back to that sweet spot for the NES? This game fell into that sweet spot. And it's a weird action adventure game. Because like I said, it's set in a post-apocalyptic world. But all of the visuals look like they're from the Middle Ages or something like that. Well, there was a nuclear war. Humanity was in shambles, and the great king rose up to unite the nations and bring the world back together. Well, this king was usurped by his dukes, and his dukes seek 8 gems that were formed by the fires of 8 different nuclear explosions, called 8 Eyes. And if these gems are brought together in the wrong hands, they could destroy the world. Well, they decide, we're going to take power. They usurp the king, cast him out into the wastelands. And now it's up to you, a falconer named Orin, and his falcon, Cutlass. Not Curtis. I have to keep reminding myself that, because for years I thought the name of this game, the bird, was Curtis. Well, it's up to you to retrieve these 8 gems and destroy whomever decided that they were going to be in charge, and place these gems on the altar of peace to save the world. It's incredibly contrived. It's a weird blend of some ancient tradition somewhere, some long lost high fantasy mixed with post-apocalyptic sci-fi stuff. And this is one of those games where the story is way too weird to really pay attention to, but you kind of have to. But yeah, on its own, this game is okay. It plays better as a 2-player experience because one player can control Cutlass and one player can control Orin. A one-player game, that one player controls both characters, and it can get kind of confusing. I despised this game as a kid because I just thought that the controls were super janky, and they weren't. It was just, it took a little getting used to controlling 2 characters at the same time. Well, this game has a Mega Man vibe to it because you can select which country you visit in any order. However, the sword that you wield makes the difference in the boss fights, because certain swords work with certain bosses, and those swords are the only thing that can really harm that boss. But you don't know which order. You have to figure it out on your own. Just like you have to kind of figure out how to place the stones at the end of the game, because the clues that you find during the course of the game are real vague. They're real confusing. But anyway, on its own though, without all that weird storytelling stuff and the trial and error stuff going on with the boss fights, this is a very serviceable action adventure game at a time where you had a lot of really, really good action adventure games. So this one kind of gets lost in the shuffle. But for a lot of gamers, this game was a high watermark for them. Now, if you want to get a copy of 8 Eyes, it ain't hard. You can get a copy for about $15, honestly. $15 to $20 might be that sweet spot for picking up a copy of 8 Eyes. And for a complete copy, you might pay about $50. Some people are trying to sell sealed copies for like almost $200. I would not pay that. Honestly, $15 seems like the high point for me. Loose cart price, it's a good price for this game, because while this game is cool, unless you are in love with it, it ain't worth a whole lot of money as far as gameplay to price is concerned. But anyway, this has been the 8-Bit Animal, and I'll catch you beautiful people tomorrow. Tomorrow, bless his heart, this little yard bird trying to fly.